Hi, Hank with Reptile Toolworks. Thank you for supporting us, and if you have received the Folsom neck knife, I want to thank you again. I would like to take just a minute and talk about it, to share a little bit of the things that went in and behind it. When you receive it, you're going to find that you have a projectile point neck knife in a bone kydex sheath, a length of paracord, and some delicious instructions. Kelly Turner, my illustrator, did an outstanding job showcasing the things that we're going to do in this. So if there's something you don't catch in the video, read the instructions, or as I often say, if all else fails, read the instructions. But we've got some good instructions here to share, but sometimes a picture's worth 1,000 words and a video's worth about 10 million words in, so we'll start. When you get it, be careful with it. It's sharp, okay? It is designed to snap in and out of its kydex sheath and to be held in position by the lock that this brass screw forms. So make sure you're putting it in the right side, give it a little wiggle, it'll lock into place, and that keeps it in there, okay? Now, we were really critical about the tension of the kydex lock. If it loosens up or something on you, you want it tighter, you can heat this and rebone it to shape around it. And we actually skewed one side down and put a notch in the other side. If it's still too tight after you rebone it, you can take a Dremel tool and open that notch and loosen the fit up a little bit. But you want it to fit good, okay? Then you take your paracord, thread it through the bottom loop, okay? Take both of them, thread it up through the top loop, and you're going to tie, I tie a overhand knot in both lines up here. Now, sometimes I will tie a knot that releases, that's up to you, but on this little knife, a lot of times I will merely pull it up, tie a double or a overhand in the loop like this, okay? Adjust it to your length, you can put it on, and man, I am already feeling good here, okay? Can't have too many pairs of boots, too many bows, or too many neck knives. You really can't, okay? So you've got a great little neck knife here. Now the coolest thing about this neck knife is, and I won't call it an arrowhead, it's actually a projectile point, but when I was a child, I was absolutely fascinated with a picture of a bison that they found in New Mexico in an archaeological dig that had a point, a projectile point still broken inside the carcass there when they dug it up, and I thought, man, I felt an affinity for that hunter and understood what had happened there. I had a flint knapper who works for me make me that Folsom point, okay? It is a beautiful projectile point, dart, spear, atlatl dart, okay, I understand that. Hard not to call them an arrowhead sometimes, but it was a dart point. This was too big to make a knife out of, and some years ago, I had him knap me a smaller one that met the minimum requirements for hunting here in Kentucky, 7/8 of an inch pretty much. And it was a little bit on the small side, so when we put this project together, I kind of developed the size and shape that I like. Now this arrowhead is an inch wide at the bottom approximately, so you could hunt with it most places. Now it is a good size for a projectile point, but it's heavy for an arrowhead. It's 240 grams. But what you've got is you've actually got a great little neck knife, okay, that you can do shaping and opening and all kinds of things with, so it makes a great neck knife. But then if you're in a survival situation, or you want to transition to this, all you have to do is take a dime or flat screwdriver. We put a flat brass screw in there. Now we put a brass screw in so it wouldn't ever rush to the arrowhead and not be able to get it out. So you should be able to remove it. Screw it out, and then what we did is on the handle, we put another hole right below it, and you're going to find that that hole has had a tap run through it, so you can put that screw right back in there and not lose it when you take the the projectile point out and get ready to use it, okay? This is our A36 carb. It is hardened. It has a soft center. I think they're just beautiful. Now, if you hold it up to the Folsom I changed the shape a little bit to make it look a tiny bit more modern, and a lot of people say it looks kind of like the Star Trek emblem, so you go with it, okay? Go where no man's boldly gone before. But I'll bring a comment to you that you'll see in a minute too. A lot of the points look more like this than this. They're rounded on the end, and when they found them as an artifact, they would have this rounded end. In a few minutes, I want to show you a piece of footage where I do something by shooting one of these, and you'll understand a little bit about where that came about. To not belabor the point, you get this removed. Now, the great thing about this particular point is the way it's designed and the way they designed it. The shaft actually lays in that fluted groove up each side of this point. Now, this was used for bison and other large animals, and it evidently didn't take them long to figure out that when you just tie a stick on something, that it hits and the stick doesn't go into the animal. Okay, they were penetrating a lot of skin and a lot of meat to try to get the vital organs on those animals. This is thinned down so that they could stick the stick right up on there and bind it and form a point that entered very smoothly and very cleanly. And if you look at this, okay, that's what it does. There's very little transition to that. If you want to mount this point, some adhesive, some thread. I'm using my poor man's alcohol lamp here. Buy you some artichoke hearts, okay, and make some spinach dip. Poke a hole in the top of it, roll up a piece of blue denim, and put some denatured alcohol in there. Make sure you mark, if you're going to upcycle denatured alcohol, make sure you mark it and put a stick in there so nobody drinks it. But you have a lovely little alcohol lamp here that burns really well. When you blow it out to keep it from evaporating all the fluid off, put it in a Ziploc bag, okay? And you can keep up with it there. If you're going to come in, now I'm going to cheat just a little bit because what I'm using here, okay, is a piece of our native river cane. So what happens is it is already basically shaped for you, okay? I put a little radius on the end of that, okay? Now, if I come in with either the tool, the knife or tool, and I split that, okay, what's going to happen is that point, due to the tapered ground base, get him in there, get in there, all right, it's going to allow that projectile point to already lay in a beautiful configuration right there, okay? Now, if we take the alcohol lamp and a chip or a tool, I can take, what I'm going to do for this, I'm going to use a dime. What I'm going to do is take a little piece of hot melt glue. I'm going to pull the point, and the first thing that I'm going to do is go ahead and apply a little glue to the point itself. Now, my fingers are pretty tough. If your fingers aren't as tough, you can split a piece of wood and do this, but I'm going to go ahead and put a nice layer of hot melt glue up each side. This is our hard use resin. It comes from the packaging industry in these little squares, and it is outstanding hot melt glue. Okay? See, I've got a layer of glue up through there, and it's kind of cold right now. I'm going to warm it and apply it in a minute. What I'm going to do then is I can do this with a chip of wood or anything you got. I'm going to go ahead and open that split, and I'm going to stick something in it to hold it open, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to warm the inside of that split and warm the glue too, and I'm going to put a layer of glue inside that split. I am feeling a kinship with my fellow Folsom Point archers from the past, okay? Now, if I come back, heat the glue on this side while I heat the glue on that side. For it to stick to the metal, you have to make sure that it has melted to the metal, okay, because it chills really fast. I'm going to warm that up, slide him up on here, pull whatever I was using as a shim, and glue that projectile point on, okay? Now, since I'm not bashful and I want to hold it down, I can position it, and while it's cooling, I can actually go ahead and prepare to overwrap it. Now, I'm using a red thread here so it'll show up a little better. But I'm going to start down this split and wrap it so that split tightens up, okay? As it comes up toward the head. Now, as you'll notice, there's two schools of thoughts, and if you do a little research, one of them show the lashing going all the way up on the head, okay, and helping the projectile point penetrate. During testing, I found that it cut those laces pretty seriously, but I'm just going to wrap on a band of thread back here, pull out about this much, cut it, reach up, throw in a couple half hitches. Then if you have, some glue or fingernail polish or anything else you want to finish off with, that's fine. Historically, they use animal blood to set it as a glue, but I can pull that down, tighten it up. I leave a little tag. Okay, it doesn't look quite as nice, but it doesn't come unglued. But I have mounted that point, and it is ready for shooting. Okay. Now, on the print, we show the other thing that shows where they feel they would wrap sinew up further to the center point, because what happens, that holds it in place, and once this hits that point on entry, the rest of it is gravy. It has opened the hole for the rest of that penetration. And that's why I think with these particular projectile points, they got such penetration and were able to hunt such large things. All right? So, you have a lovely neck knife. You have a beautiful Kydex sheath that snaps in and out of. You can make, now like I said, these are 240 grain points. They're big, okay? But more is more, okay? In just a minute, I'm going to show you what, when I took one of these to the extreme, but thank you all for being involved in this. I hope you enjoy these products as much as we did making them for you, and have a great day. Thanks, Hank and the crew at Reptile Food. Okay, as I promised you just a minute ago, I took an aluminum, I think the 2216 crossbow bolt, and went ahead and mounted one of these Folsom points to it. Now, I split a steel field point, put it in there, and then riveted a pin on it. But you'll notice there's some holes in this car door out here from before. That is from when I was practicing another drawhead called flint to steel. But on this particular one, I didn't feel like dragging the compound out and going up to that high pressure. So I got 150-pound prods on this one. This is the one I actually hunt with. Okay. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and load that bolt. And I'm going to step right out here. Now, once again, I would apologize a little bit, but we are right in the middle of what Kentucky is getting from the hurricane going on in the Gulf, and it has blown everything sideways and made it almost impossible for us to do anything outside. So I'm going to slip outside and shoot that car door real quick, and let's see how that goes, okay? All right. I'm the luckiest person in the world. There's a hardened steel bar that runs up the side of that door that gives it its crush resistance, and I hit that hardened steel bar dead on, okay? You can actually see where I notched the point shooting it into that. So, here what I'm going to do, thank you for watching along, I'm going to go straighten this bolt back out, touch that tip back up, and shoot it somewhere where there's not a hardened steel bar and see how the door likes it then. I went back over to the shop, straightened the arrow out. She's still flopping a little bit, but it'll be okay. If you notice when I sharpened this arrowhead, it begins to look like all the other Folsom points we see where they had sharpened and reused them a few times. So that makes me feel kind of good about it. All right. Now, like I said, last shot, I hit the steel rod in the door. Okay. Didn't really damage it that badly. And boy, I always remember this arrow is being retired from being used a few times. So this isn't an outstanding platform to hunt with. So once again, we're going to load the crossbow bolts up, and I'm going to purposefully remember to aim for an area in that door that does not have a steel reinforcement bar. but it penetrated one skin and did its best to get through the inside of the door on this side. And if you'll look, you can still see my grind marks on it, and she's still pretty sharp. So I guess the proof is in the pudding. Thanks for supporting us.